What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catapaglia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. This is probably going to be my last video for the year, so I thought I'd do a little recap on all of the investing that I've done, all the experimenting. If you've been following along, a lot of this is probably going to be info that you've already seen. Maybe some of it is new, a little bit of nuance. I'm going to, give you a little recap on my portfolio on each of the platforms that I have invested in. Also, just recap the ones that I looked at that I either decided not to invest in at all, or there's some that are I'm still following in May if they have the right properties come up. I'll talk a little bit more about one other platform that somebody mentioned to me that I haven't done a review on, but that I'm going to. Just try to, basically just try to wrap up everything that I've done this year, show you the performance that I can to this point, and let you know what I'm looking at for next year and uh, what this experiment, how it's really turning out. So, and that's one of the things I want to just remind you is, although I, consider myself an expert on real estate investing, I've been an investor for 20 years. Um, in a couple more days, I'll actually be able to say 20 years, right? Because it'll be 2025. But in any case, I've done a whole bunch of different things in real estate and feel good about, sharing that knowledge. But on the fractional investing side, I've only been doing this since September, right? I've done this for 4 months. I've really tried to dig in deep onto as many platforms as I could find. But at the moment, I'm not putting a huge portion of my net worth into any of the platforms. I've starting to accumulate more on some of them, like Lofty, you can see here. I'm investing more and more, and I think, as I get more comfortable with certain strategies, I'll continue to do that. But it is, very much just because I'm putting money on one of these sites doesn't mean that you should, right? You should do your own due diligence. It's something I tell you all the time. But I really mean it because I don't have a long enough track record with any of the platforms, to give them a really solid recommendation. I can just let you know how they're going so far. So, starting off, Lofty is the one that I talk about the most. It was the first one that I put some money on, and it's really the one of the founders of Lofty is who turned me on to this site. They had reached out through Twitter. I had always known about fractional investing, but hadn't really thought a whole bunch about it, and didn't really think about how it could be a solution for my clients that aren't yet ready to buy properties until I started digging into it and just thinking it just coincided with me having a meeting with a young would-be investor who just wasn't really ready. He couldn't even afford a house hack yet or do anything like that. And so that's what the time I put two and two together and realized like, hey, I think there's some potential. And then as some of you probably realized as I dug into it more, I think there's even some room to make money as an experienced investor. I don't know that I'd ever put all of my investments onto one of these platforms versus, continuing to hold some properties in real life. But I don't know. I'm moving in that direction. There's a lot that I like about, um, the different opportunities. And so on Lofty, I'm doing a couple different things, right? I talk about it quite a bit. I'm buying these discounted tokens. So this platform is one where, every token originally gets listed for $50. That token represents a certain percentage of the property ownership, but it's always $50 to start. Um, most of my token purchases, you can see these cost basis numbers are, $25 or less. I think that buying into ones that were, a mistake at 50, but a great deal at, 18 or 20 or 25, is the real opportunity on this platform. I do have some, and so that's, most of those, they turn out to not really be great cash flow properties, which is what most people that come here are looking for. And so then they get dumped at these super low prices. And so a lot of these I'm buying, to try to get the other owners for us to all sell it in real life and then just distribute the profits. That's working on, I've had one do that to completion. I have another one that's under contract for sale, and a third one that just got an offer. And then some of them, like this one where you notice I only have one token, I bought them very cheap. and then had listed them higher, although the market price is back down to where I bought them. Somebody bought all except for one of mine there. Some of these I'm just continuing to accumulate, which is the case for most of them. This is one I did something a little different with, where once I accumulated some tokens, I pushed to get the management team changed to one that I was more familiar with and think might actually be turning this into a profitable property. So that's a different strategy and not one that I've been using much. But uh, if we had to turn around and sell this to with such a low cost basis, I think we could sell it, put it on the market as is, and get a decent return. But again, most of these, are, my hope is that they sell, although some of them they might just start to operate, and as the price goes up, um, I'll just sell them on the platform, right? And so that's one of the things that I really like about this platform is you do have some control. You can talk other owners into voting a certain way and to sell in real life, or you can change the strategy, or you can hold it, and when it turns around, sell for more. This has been a good one. Like I said, I mean, most of those ones I've scrolled through so far have been that strategy. There are a few that I've paid closer to, or even some that I've paid over that initial $50 price. There's just a couple of operators on here that I think are capable of, taking these properties and doing really well with them. And so I think that's the case for, you know, at least these three. I'm really comfortable with holding those long term, and I think they'll probably make money. Although I'm not opposed to selling if the market price goes way up, and then rebuying if it comes back down. It's one of the things that's super interesting. I think these two maybe weren't the best investments, but I think they'll do okay in the long run. But again, just because I own some of those ones does not mean that you should be buying them. And so, in addition to owning the properties on here, and currently 27, but I think that I've really invested in 29, because I've sold one of them, sold completely, and one of them I sold out all of the tokens that I had. And then, so I'm also using their lend and earn platform, which is where you stake your tokens. I had started doing this with some putting. This is like a liquidity pool. It's sort of a foreign concept to me, um, as just being a pure real estate investor. But if you're, a crypto person, I think this makes a lot of sense. But this is basically what they do: is people take a bunch of cash, put it in the pool. They take a bunch of the tokens that represent ownership in the property, put it in the pool, and they use that for when people want to buy and sell. It basically creates market. And so by putting your tokens in the pool, you get some additional return. And so most of the ones that I have that are not performing, I've also put them in here, in order to get some additional yield. So this investment here isn't on top of what I've got here. This is actually just some of those tokens are lent onto this platform, and so it's basically double counts it if you tried to look at, like, if you tried to add things up. So for Lofty, that's where I am at the moment, and I'm getting more and more comfortable with the platform. I think once I get a couple more of these sales to go through, if they work out the way that I want, if I'm able to, uh, get the profits that it looks like I should get based on, the contract prices that we already have and whatnot, I think I'll probably continue with that strategy. Um, and that's going to really be it. I don't think that, I think the discounted token strategy is the one that I'm really most focused on. I'm just basically a value investor on this platform. Um, with a few exceptions, I think, more than anything. And so the few that I showed you that I'm owning, that I paid closer to full price, I think that the people bringing those properties to the platform, the actual operators of those properties, are all doing it for, um, the right reason for me to want to partner with them. I think all three of them are trying to create long-term relationships with investors in their deals. I think some of them are already, partnering with some of the other investors on this platform to do deals off of the platform. And I think that that's because of that, they're giving you some of the better deals when you look at, relative to value and relative to, the way that they're paying you out. But there are also, some downsides as far as like the way the risk, the leverage is structured, and so which adds some risk. But so I think I'll still continue to dabble in that, but more and more I'm going to be buying these ones that I think are a deep discount to the current value of the property in real life. I think that's, I don't really care that it's discounted from the $50, right? Because maybe that $50 was a made up number. What I really care about is it's discounted to the real world value of the asset. And so a lot of these, um, somewhere around that $50 is the real world value of the asset if you sell the home. But as a operating rental property, it's not really worth it because, for a number of different reasons. But anyway, that's where I stand with Lofty. The next one I've put some money on is Groundfloor. This is the platform where you're buying small pieces of fix and flip loans. I currently own 73, pieces of 73 loans. I think I bought a total of, will it tell me all? Yeah, I've had 9 that paid out. So, I have bought a total of 82, 9 have paid off already. This one, I've done quite a few videos on this, but nowhere near as many as I have on Lofty. It's just it seems like it's going to be a really stable, somewhat predictable return. I do have one loan. You can see this one's listed as extended, which means that, they're in talks with the borrower to either to change the terms somehow of that deal. And so, maybe there's going to be a loss on this. Maybe we're not going to get the full interest, but in general, it seems like this is a super stable platform to get, what I think is a pretty strong return. Um, the payout of, the schedule of them paying off seems pretty unpredictable. I think as I get more and more loans on here, I'll start to just get, a pretty it'll just start paying off each month, and then I'll reinvest each month. It gets smaller and smaller pieces of loans, or as I add more money, really that won't happen. It won't be smaller, but I'll get pieces of more and more loans. The goal on here, I think, is to get to somewhere around 200 to 250 loans, and then, which is seems to be about all that they have outstanding at any given time. And then once I've done that, then start to, get bigger and bigger pieces of those loans. I don't know. I like this one a lot. I don't talk about it too much because I'm not doing, it's pretty automated. I'm just buying a small piece of every single one. Um, that they put on the platform. And so I'm really looking at the diversification of it and the fact that just the structure in general, I feel um, there's not, they're all underwritten by the same lender, basically. Groundfloor underwrites it, lends the money, and then sells the little pieces of the loans. And so it's not the same thing where, like on Lofty, I spend a lot of time trying to pick individual properties. On here, I'm just trying to put some money onto every single one as it comes up. You'll see I have different amounts in different ones, and it just happened to work out that way from when I put money on. There'd only be so many property or so many loans available, and so some of them I had much bigger pieces of than others. Over time, I'm going to try to smooth that out. But yeah, this is one that I'll definitely be putting more on. I'm just trying to get. I just kind of paused after the first few deposits because I want to see where, I started getting some payoffs, which is good. I really am interested to see how this extended one works out. I don't know what's going to actually happen with it. Um, if only one fails out of my first 82, that'd be pretty awesome. Because I don't think fails means you lose all the money. I think it means you lose some of the money because there'll be a foreclosure and it'll take a long time. But I'm interested to see how this works out. Like I said, I mean, all of these platforms, I'm really just experimenting and putting more on Lofty, not because I think it's a better platform than Groundfloor, but because there are more different options to try. And there's a benefit on there to try to accumulate a bigger position because it gives you bigger voting rights. And so I don't know. So that's a little bit different. One that I looked at was Arrived. This is one I've talked about it a few times. I think I have a full length video about it where I really just go into what their fees are and what their returns are, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think both their regular deal and their private credit fund. I mean, I think it's a really interesting platform. I like a lot about it. I just think that their fees are too high, and they're just not trying very hard. They're putting up real volume, and to do that, they don't seem to be trying very hard to get incredible deals, right? And so that's why, at the moment, still not buying anything on here. If the returns change dramatically, because of their fee structure changing or them getting better at purchasing properties, that could change. But at the moment, um, I'm not on there, and I don't imagine. I keep going back to it. Just to one, because I get a lot of questions about it from people. That it's one of the bigger named ones, and I think that it's important for me to stay on top of it. But it just isn't a very, it doesn't provide deals that are very compelling for my current, risk reward structure that I'm looking for. Excuse me. The next one I tried was Landa. This one I actually put some money on. I took it off before even buying a single property. Got this giant water bottle for Christmas. Isn't that awesome? That's ridiculous. It's bigger than my head. Um, it's supposed to be healthy to do that, right? No, I'm kind of a weirdo about that. But so let's see. Yeah, I put money on. I ended up taking it off. I did a full video about this. I actually did a couple videos. Thought they have some interesting properties on here, but they seem to have just bought up a bunch of stuff without really knowing how to run it. And so my impression is that both the property operations are struggling and they actually seem to have some platform issues because there's a lot of times where I wasn't able to buy or sell on the platform. Their dividends weren't showing up. They've seemed to have a lot of problems like that, and even getting my cash in and out didn't work out well. So, and one of the investors that I know on this that owns several properties on here, he seems to think that they're just heading towards bankruptcy and it's going to fail altogether. I've actually heard that from a few people, but one in particular is pretty vocal about it. Um, whether or not that's true is yet to be seen. I hate to say that because I don't really know about the inner workings, but it does seem like they're really struggling, and so that's why I took my money back out, and I don't expect to reinvest on there unless there's some dramatic change. Maybe the whole platform gets bought by somebody who's really good at operating real estate, something like that. I could imagine. Also looked at Arc 7. Oh, why did that log me out? They always log me out, I think, every time I've done a video about them. Um, this was one that I thought, again, they have kind of bigger fees, and so it which like forces down the returns on a lot of these. And so this is one, they do have a secondary marketplace where you can buy from owners that have been holding for a while. At the moment, there's not any real good discounts, but it's one that I keep going back to because I believe at the right price, I'd be happy to be on this platform. The platform seems to work okay. The people that I talk to that are on it don't really complain about it. And if you're okay with the level of returns that you're getting on it, um, I think it might be a good option. But again, it's one you'll have to do your own due diligence on. I will keep looking at this one because I think that at the right price, some of the properties that are on here could work for me. It's just at the moment, none of them seem to be hitting that mark. Mogul, this is, let's see, let's look at the properties here. This is a one that I've bought. I really have only invested in this one. I have a little bit of money in this one. This is a short-term rental duplex in Houston. I think they, based on all the research I did on it, and I did a full video on that, it looks like it's going to be a great deal long term. It's yet to be seen. So far, I've only gotten paid out a partial month because it hadn't had a full month of operations yet. This is a very new platform, right? I mean, this is every single property that they've done so far, right? So they're very new. Most of their properties are new. these are the only three that have been available for me to buy any of. I did full videos, I think, on both of these, and I bought some of this more for the incentives that they provided, but it's why I have much less of this one than this one. I wasn't super excited about either, but you can see those. This is definitely a platform I will keep investing on. They seem to be doing. I mean, I was really impressed. I thought this one was a good one. This one, I think it could be good, but they don't. I'm not comfortable enough underwriting the rent by the room business model that they're using to know whether or not this is going to be a good one. But that's why I put a little money into it, and we'll see. But again, this platform in general is just so new. I want to actually see how this one performs, how the payouts work, if there's any problem with making getting my money. This is one where your money's also locked up much longer. They have some plans to create a way to get paid out, but it's not really clear what that is yet. And so because of that, I'm not going to put very much on here until I feel really good about it. But it is one. I think that what I like about this one the most is they seem to be doing extremely opportunistic buys, right? Like they're not just buying picking a neighborhood and buying every new construction home in that neighborhood. They're trying to buy discounts, finding deals that make sense, some of them off market, some of them just on the MLS, but they're negotiating decent discounts. Like it seems like their acquisition side of their team is pretty scrappy and, working to get the types of deals that I'd want to invest in somebody else's deal. Uh, I think they kind of missed on this one, but that's yet to be seen. But it is, you know, I don't know. I like it for that reason, and so I'm going to look at everyone that they pop up, and I'll probably buy some of some of them and pass on others, just like I already have. Um, this Solomon's Lot one, I did a recent video on it. I actually am going to be interviewing the owner of this platform on Friday. It's just a kind of a weird one. At the moment, I don't think there's anything on here that you could buy if you wanted to. He's really just getting started. Um, it's an interesting model. It's where he's, basically providing some early liquidity for people who are trying to sell a property. I don't know. I've got a lot of questions for him that should be interesting, at least for me. Hopefully, somebody else gets some value out of that. Um, really, I'm trying to look at every possible thing in the fractional real estate investing space. And so, if you come across these, weird niche platforms, let me know. I'm devoting a lot of time to checking this out. And, I don't mind throwing some money at some and experimenting if it seems like there's um some future potential. And that's really what I'm doing. Like I want to find ones that I think make sense for, like I said, new investors to invest in, long term, but also some of them I think are going to make sense for me over time. Instead of only buying properties here in San Antonio, or only investing in mortgages, because that's most of my money right now is tied up in private mortgages. Uh, Instead of doing that, I think over time I'll put more and more onto some of these platforms if they perform the way that they seem to so far. But I'd like to have 4 or 5 of them that it's spread across because I think it helps with the platform risk, but also too there's just different goals on each site, right? Like the money that I'm putting on Groundfloor is it's much less opportunistic than the money going into Lofty, but it is, a set it and forget it type of strategy where I can spend a couple minutes a month versus like spending time every day looking for deals. So, as different little niche sites like this one come up that are doing something different, I definitely want to dig into it, and try to um, try to see what I can figure out. So definitely let me know whenever ones pop up that you hear of. Um, Next one, I looked at BrickSave a couple times. I did a few. I don't know if I did any standalone videos on it. This is one, like I said, one of my team members on my real estate agent team. Um, has a relationship with them, and so I don't want to say too much, but for me, for the I have the opportunity. The only property on there that I really liked, or the ones that the only market that they're in that I really like is San Antonio. I'm not a huge fan of Cleveland or Chicago. Um, this Miami one was a total property one. But so I don't know. It's a platform. I think they strike me as very professional. I talked to a couple people on their acquisitions team in the past. Um, I just want, for me, I haven't invested on here yet because there's not a property that I'm excited about. But when that does happen, I think there's a chance I'll get on here. Only time will tell, and I'll just, that'll happen. Um, like I said, I mean, I think for me, their most compelling deals are right here where I am, and I don't, I could just go buy the same one or, similar deals. Um, so, there's not a whole lot of motivation for me on that one. But I think, over time, as they start to get more deals in other markets, um, it's one I think I'll probably pick some up. I just, like I said, I mean, I really don't need anything more in Chicago or in Cleveland. I own properties on both of those on Lofty and at what I think are much better discounts than what I can find on here at the moment. Well, like this will be another one that I just continue to monitor, and who knows? I mean, something could come up that's a good deal, but at the moment, I've just passed on it. Oasis, this is one I just looked at. I put out a full video on this last night. Um, just my first impressions. It's where you can invest in hotels and resort properties on a fractional basis. It really seemed to me to be um, geared towards people who don't really. Uh, I mean, I hate to say it again, but I associate this space a lot with taking advantage of dumb money. Like I think a lot of hotel developers, especially in resort locations, I think there's historically just a lot of abuse there, and taking people's money that don't really understand what they're getting. And unfortunately, it looks like that might, this site might skew in that direction. As far as the deal itself, seems really diluted, and maybe I don't know, the last. I'm still waiting to hear back on some questions I had about it. If you watched the video from yesterday, towards the end, I realized that this one current deal that they have available, um, it could end up being a reasonably good deal, um, depending on the answer to to some of the due diligence questions that I just wasn't able to figure out by looking at the property and the information that I was able to get to online. I did put all my info in so that they would call me. Nobody has done that yet, so. But I think they're going to. Maybe it's just because it's the holiday week. I don't know. But as I learn more about that one, I'll let you know. But my first impressions were, it just looks like a risky setup for the types of returns that they're promising. So I'm not really sure um, yet, and so that's yet to be seen. And so that's everything that I've really done so far. The one that I wanted to mention, somebody had asked me about this platform, Roots. I hadn't heard of it before. It's one that I plan to, uh, dig into over the next few days, and I'll put out a first impressions type video of what I figured out. Um, I don't know. I have no idea about it, but I just wanted to mention it because it is one that I have a plan to dig into the future. That's really everything. Recapping everything that I've gone over this year as far as in this space. There's a lot of neat stuff happening. There's a lot of I didn't really dig into any of the more crypto stuff that's the some people are like Compex is doing some thing where they'll lend you money against your Lofty tokens, but just for a couple properties or maybe just for one at the moment. There's a lot of interest in this space, and I think I think we're going to see a lot of innovation. I know there are other sites out there. Some of them, one of the things that I have been ignoring is all of the ones that you have to be an accredited investor to invest in, because it's not the people that it's not going to help the people that I set out, thinking about when I started looking at all this stuff. I don't think that it makes sense. I mean, if honestly, if you are an accredited investor, um, you have access to a lot of different deals that maybe these wouldn't be, wouldn't make the most sense. Although I don't know. I mean, some of the what I think we'll end up with, on as a percent basis of returns on some of the lofty deals will be significantly better than, a lot of the syndications that I see. But the difference is, you know, I think it would be tough to deploy large amounts of capital into those discounted deals on Lofty, where it's really easy to do the same thing. So but like I said, I mean that's not the people who are typically asking me for a solution, and I'm not just selling them a property in real life, right? Like if you are an accredited investor, you're also someone who I could just find you a property in San Antonio and be like, hey, this is. I mean, that's what my team does all day, every day, is work with investors that buy properties here, mostly out of state, but it is, so those aren't the people who are trying to send somewhere else. It's the people that aren't ready yet, right? Don't have the money to invest in something, or maybe they're, for whatever reason, buying whole properties isn't the right answer for them. And I'm always happy to tell people when I think it's not the right answer, um, because it doesn't make sense to us, to try to fit somebody's investment dollars into a property that's not going to achieve the goals that they're looking for. Anyway, that's everything. It's been really fun starting this up over the last 4 months. I think next over the next year it's going to be a lot more of the same. But I'd love to. I've connected with quite a few people now through putting out these videos, and more than happy to connect with more. You can always just reach out to me through Twitter. If you found me through Twitter, it is just the same, my same name on there. Some of you just, got reached out to me through the Discord on Lofty. You're welcome to do that. Same name there. Um, I think you can find me on the Discord on Landa, because I got on there, and I don't really know. I think that my name shows up the same way there too. But anyway, any of those ways, or just drop a comment and let me know how to talk to you. I mean, that's really like the goal here, right? Like it's been interesting talking to people about their experience on some of these platforms, different strategies. I actually think that there's potential to, on sites like Lofty or any of the ones where there's voting involved, and Mogul seems to be there'll be certain decisions we'll have to vote on as well. It'll be less so, but in any case, any of the ones that's the case, I think there's would be some benefit to sort of form a coalition with some other investors that are looking at similar properties, and maybe we come up with a strategy for certain ones, and buy those and help to execute on that. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Like, it's not like I don't believe there's any sort of, I don't know. I mean, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it, like from a moral or from like an insider trading thing, because we're co-owners in the property, and just talking about what we want to do with it. But I think that having, other smart, like-minded people that actually understand real estate investing, helping to make some of the decisions of some of those properties, makes a huge difference. And I can see it on Lofty, where I'm in one property where we just keep making the same dumb, like every time a vote comes up, the other owners just seem to be making the worst pick possible. And then I've been in somewhere it just seems like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of smart people that own this one, and we're doing things that make sense. Um, I'll let you guys guess which properties are which for that. But that's it for me for this year. So I don't think you'll see another video. Um, maybe I might. I guess I'll do one tomorrow night. It will be the following night that I won't. So maybe I jumped the gun on this. But anyway, I'm sure nobody's counting. I do appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe, and also have links to all the ones I've already invested in the description below. Until next time, as usual, so keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.